Hi guys, so this is a 2003 Chevy Cavalier and the catalytic converter was stolen. So I went to the muffler shop and they said it was like $1,000 for the catalytic converter and another $300 for the oxygen sensor. And when I talked to Autopack, well, I've got a $750 deductible. And then when I was talking to the garage, they said they'd probably charge me an improvement as well for if they were to change the catalytic converter through a claim. So it just wasn't worth it. And then I saw that on eBay, you can buy these catalytic converters. So this is the catalytic converter that I got. And I got it from this company, All-Star Exhaust. It's out of Canada. So I'm hoping that it's going to be okay, because I guess we'll see when I get it off. So we've got 3 bolts, one on the top and then one on each side. So here's where they cut it, right there. The oxygen sensor is still there, and then right there. So why the guy in the shop told me that I needed another oxygen sensor right away? That's weird. Yeah, so I ordered one because I didn't even stop and look either before I started working on it. They're almost complicit with it. That was a Midas shop on Regent Avenue told me that my oxygen sensor was gone. So we're underneath the car looking up into the motor, and we can see those 3 bolts now. So it really doesn't make sense for most guys to work on exhausts, because you would just take it into a shop once in a while and then you get it done and get a guarantee. But in this situation, it kind of makes sense for me to try to do it myself. So I have to learn how to get these bolts off and just watch some YouTubes on it. Most of the guys say to just tighten and loosen just like any other bolt. But these ones, it looks a little different here. I'll show you. See, my question about this is, it almost looks like a metal tech screw or something. See? There's no nut on this side, just the head. I mean, I can just cut it off and use an air chisel and try. The worst thing about this whole catalytic converter getting stolen was that I had to drive it home to my shop, and I had hearing protection on, but it wasn't enough. I mean, I have ringing in my ears still, and I don't know if it'll ever go away. So this is the main reason I'm doing this video. Like, what is this stuff? It's like metal or something on here. Did they weld the whole thing? It's a typical frustrating thing. So they send you the catalytic converter. You gotta buy the gaskets separate. That's what it looks like to me so far. Yeah, it just strips right off. So I don't own an air chisel, my wife does, and it's not here. With hearing and eye protection, because you want to preserve your hearing for when some asshole steals your catalytic converter and makes you deaf forever anyways. I guess we'll probably have to drill those fuckers out. So now I got a gap here. There. Well, look at that. There was threads in there. What am I gonna have to drill it out now or something? I think this whole catalytic converter theft thing is a symptom of capitalism gone completely out of control. Rich people buying planets and stuff, and the rest of us are fixing catalytic converters. Okay, I had an idea, guys. Drilling this is insane. I mean, it could be done theoretically, right? But why don't change that end first, right? Take the other one, clamp it, and then just weld it. So, if you're like me, you should just leave the vehicle till this has been soaking good for overnight. And we're gonna try. So when you're buying these gaskets, it's 2.5 for the front, and the back one is 1 inch, or sorry, 2 inch. Back one, of course, is 2 inch. Okay, guys, I got the top one off, and it just kind of popped off. And of course, I worked it back and forth before I took it all the way off. And I had to try different ways. The way I did it is coming up from the bottom with all this bunch of extensions put together, right? 1/2 inch, and with a swivel on the top. And then you need a socket that allows it deep enough to get the tip in there. It's got to be set in real good. So I gotta tell you, I went to the lake and took a few. So there were 2 side ones. I didn't use any kind of pivot thing, just straight bar worked fine. And then on the right side, this whole thing popped out. Again, it's like 150 pounds pressure to come out. Not that I used a torque wrench or anything, just, you know, by experience. And then this one just came off the left side. This one, I couldn't fit a 9/16 on it, no matter how I tried for some reason. So all I could fit on was a 15, but it worked. And shock cap did not help at all. Sorry, I couldn't film the twist and wiggle job to get that thing out. Well, it was pretty easy to maneuver the thing in there. That really wasn't a problem. Okay, so here's for the wiring, because I had to snip the wire off the sensor. So on the aftermarket, this is a Denso universal, and it'll come with 2 blacks. The 2 blacks on the Denso sensor, there we go. The 2 blacks on the Denso sensor are for the heat, and they are not polarity sensitive. So you can hook them either way. And they'll go to the 2 whites on the car for the 2003 Chevy Cavalier. And then you got your blue from the sensor. It's actually this way. So the blue from the sensor. And then the ground is the white. So your blue is going to go to the gray on the car, and your white is going to go to the black on the car, because there's only 1 black on the car. Right, and over here, the 2 blacks are for the, on here on this sensor are for the heater, and they go to the 2 whites. Right, so you don't really need to test anything because it's just straightforward. But if you were to want to test anything, you'd be looking for heat coming off of the car's white wire, and the other one would be a ground. And then off of the car you get a ground from the black wire, and then you get, when the car is warm, the sensor will produce its own voltage even though it's disconnected, and the sensor will produce about 1.57 volts when hot. But you don't need to test any of that, because, well, we're just assuming that for whatever reason you had to change the sensor. I guess the other thing you might want to know is the sensor grounds to the chassis. So there's no, you're not looking for any ground for that if you're trying to understand what's going on. Okay, so we have the correct gasket now, so we're going to just install it down there with some thread locker on there. And then I think I'm going to attach there first loosely, then do the weld, and then go back and tighten it up, the weld at the back, because I'm worried about doing the weld and then trying to fit it on might be too hard. Okay, so now we're just going to put the gasket in there, and we're going to just clamp it together
I'll try to get a picture with the weld. I don't have a cameraman, so I can't do it.
That they give you. This is that piston ring. See the size difference? So you're trying to, like, we're not using the bolt holes, but which would have been easier, but we'd have to drill them all out. So we're just going to try to weld it. So we're trying to clamp it and keep this more or less in the right position so it'll seal. So we're dealing with a lot of problems. Like I said, we'll have to remove some of this gasket so we can get a good weld between the two pieces of steel here and get the clamps off. Yeah, this is not a joke. This is actually what my welds look like. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to get it sealed up as best I could and get it connected, but I was getting burnt, and of course the rust and not having enough gas and not really caring too much. But that's it, so we'll see. Hopefully the gasket holds the seal because it was clamped real tight, but we won't know until I start the motor.